The messages that I see from Zoom are a little slow in telling me that we are already broadcasting, and by the time I go there, I hear myself saying all this. Okay, let's see. Not this one. Okay. And we are live. We leave it there and let's get going. So thank you so much once again, dear devotees. We'll get started after these prayers to the Spiritual Master. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadkamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagada Lagudataన్వితం Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagada Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapti Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanande Hare Hare Bol. Thank you once again, and let's get started. So what is the verse from Bhagavad-gita that we're going to do today? Do we remember? Do we know what chapter we are doing?
Is it 6.6?
Is it 6.6? Let's take confirmation from others. What do others think? What do you say, Lakshmi? Varshana? Is it 6.6? If you say 6.6, then we'll do 6.6.
I missed the last two, that's why I'm not sure.
Okay, so let's look at the verses right from the beginning, and maybe we will recall and we'll remember. Okay, I'm just bringing up Bhagavad-gita. Chapter you said is 6, right? Okay.
Yes.
Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga, all right. So let's share our screen. Chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, coming up for you. And here, what is the chapter telling us? So this is Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he's obligated is in the renounced order of life. He is a true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. Does this sound familiar to you? Did we do this?
Yeah.
All right. Then number 2, what is called renunciation? You should know to be the same as yoga, or linking oneself with the Supreme. O son of Pandu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. Did we do this?
Yes.
All right. For one who is a neophyte in the Eightfold Yoga system, work is said to be the means. And for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. Were you here, Sukamaladi Mataji, when we did this?
Yeah, I was here for the Eightfold Yoga system.
Eightfold Yoga system. And did you hear that work is said to be the means for one who is already elevated in yoga, and not working and cessation of material activities is said to the means for one who is already elevated in yoga? And do we do that? Do you remember?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Then a person is said to be elevated in yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither asks for sense gratification, acts for sense gratification, nor engages in fruitive activities. Did we do that?
Yes, Mataji, we did this.
We did this? Okay. Then text number 5, one must deliver himself with the help of the mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. Have you done this one?
See, we have to see 6.5 today.
We have to do
Sorry,
No,
I couldn't
Mataji,
attend.
we didn't do
No.
this one.
All right. So that's good. That we were just doing we
6.5.
were just doing a familiarity check, right? Okay. So let's then do 6.5. So bringing up 6.5 here. And let me just get these consoles out of my way. Okay. Uddharet ātmanātmānaṁ, nātmānam avasādayet, ātmaiva hi ātmano bandhur, ātmaiva ripur ātmanāḥ. Uddharet ātmanātmānaṁ, nātmānam avasādayet, ātmaiva hi ātmano bandhur, ātmaiva ripuḥ ātmanāḥ. How many times does the word Atma appear here?
7.
7 times, correct. Okay, so let's look at the synonyms. Uddharet. Uddharet means one must deliver. Ātmana, by the mind. ātmanam, by the mind, to the conditioned soul, right? So one must deliver the conditioned soul by the mind.
एक
Na,
फुल्का और गरम करो.
na, never. ātmanam, the conditioned soul. Avasādayet, put into degradation. Ātmā, mind. Eva, certainly. He, indeed. ātmanā, of the conditioned soul. Bandhu, friend. ātmā, mind. Eva, certainly. ripuḥ, enemy. ātmanā, of the conditioned soul. So what is the meaning of the word Atma?
The mind.
Anybody differs with this?
Atma, you asked, right, Mataji?
What does Atma mean?
Mataji, Atma has got different meanings in the sense that it is the soul.
Correct. And
Mataji, and it is a conditioned soul.
that is one condition. So
Yeah.
what is the other one? What is the other meaning of Atma?
Mind.
Mind.
Super soul.
Okay, yeah. So one must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The word Atma denotes body, mind, and soul, depending upon the different circumstances. Actually, Atma sometimes is also used for Paramatma, the super soul. Okay? So, depending upon different circumstances. In the yoga system, and sometimes even Krishna is addressed as Atma, like he's the Atma of the universe, like that. Okay? So, in the yoga system, the mind, and which yoga system? The Ashtanga yoga system that we were talking about, right? In the yoga system, the mind and the conditioned soul are especially important. Since the mind is the central point of yoga practice, Atma here refers here to the mind. The purpose of the yoga system is to control the mind and to draw it away from attachment to sense objects. What's the purpose of yoga system?
To control the mind.
And what is the second part?
And draw it away from sense objects. Attachment to sense.
Correct. It is stressed herein that the mind must be so trained that it can deliver the conditioned soul from the mire of nescience. In material existence, one is subjected to the influence of the mind and the senses. In fact, the pure soul is entangled in the material world because the mind is involved with the false ego, which desires to lord it over material nature. Therefore, the mind should be trained so that it will not be attracted by the glitter of material nature. And in this way, the conditioned soul may be saved. One should not degrade himself by attraction to sense objects. The more one is attracted by sense objects, the more one becomes attracted in material existence. The best way to disentangle oneself is to always engage the mind in Krishna consciousness. The word he is used for emphasizing this point that one must do this. It also said, mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho bandhaya vishayo asango vishaya sango muktyai nirvishayam manaha. For man, mind is the cause of bondage and the mind is the cause of liberation. Mind absorbed in sense objects is the cause of bondage, and mind detached from sense objects is the cause of liberation. Amrit Bindu Upanishad number 2. Therefore, the mind which is always engaged in Krishna consciousness is the cause of supreme liberation. So there can be different kinds of liberation, but the supreme liberation, mukti, is liberation, and supreme liberation is vimukti, when you go back to Godhead. So the mind which is always engaged in Krishna consciousness is the cause of supreme liberation. So let's go back to the verse again and look at it. So here, uddharet ātmanātmānaṁ nātmānam avasādayet ātmaiva hi ātmano bandhur ātmaiva ripuḥ ātmanāḥ. So what's it? Very beautiful words, very powerful words. One must deliver himself with the help of this mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. Okay, so key points. Let's have a discussion of this. So what have you heard so far and what are your reflections on it? What do you think about this verse? Ātmaiva ripuḥ, ātmaiva hi ātmano bandhur, ātmaiva ripuḥ ātmanaḥ. The mind is the friend as well as the enemy.
In one of the other verses, it also said that the mind is swifter than the wind, and it can be your best friend or it can be your worst enemy.
Right? Chanchalam hi mana Krishna.
Yeah.
Krishna
Yeah.
says that, right?
Yeah.
Tasyaham nigraham manye vayu eva satushkaram. So he says that, right?
And Mataji, if mind is attached to the sense object, then it's an enemy. If it is if it is detached from sense objects, then it will lead to liberation. So mind is we have to control the mind, which is pretty critical.
We have to control the mind, right? So what are the things that the mind does to us? Does it do anything to us or does it do? It's a silent. Is mind silent?
No, it's always working.
It is
Always. Even in our sleep, subconsciously, the mind is working.
Mind is working. So intelligence goes to sleep, but the mind doesn't sleep, right? When you have your dreams, then
The mind working.
the mind is working, right? So we have talked about in our previous verses from some of the descriptions about the mind that the acharyas give to us, right? And there was an acronym that we created from the word mind. And see, does anybody remember? We did that in our class earlier. M stood for something, I stood for something, N stood for something, D stood for something, right?
Mm.
So the first thing that the mind does is it magnifies the problems.
Oh, yeah.
Does it? Oh, yeah.
Magnified.
It magnifies? Okay, so would you discuss some example of how you think it magnifies problem?
Mm.
It could be something as simple as maybe somebody doesn't see you and it's a friend, but they didn't notice you, and then your mind tells you more about it than it really needs to be.
Exactly. And in this regard, Vashika Prabhu tells that very interesting story about there was a man who went to the mall, and in the mall he saw another friend come out from a shop, and he looked at him, the friend looked at him and just walked away. And you know what neglect feels like, right? So he was very, very upset. And then his mind started telling him, right, that I will, what does he think of himself? And, I came here, I smiled at him and he didn't even acknowledge him. Okay, I'm not going to talk to him at all. And then a few days later, the other friend just walks up to him casual as if nothing has happened and say hello, hi. And then this man is very upset and he says, okay, fine. So today you're saying hi to me. What about what happened to you the other day at the mall when you saw me and you just, just neglected me? And so the man said, oh, the mall, I had gone to the eye doctor and he had put, the dilating atropine in my eyes. And I was not able to see things. And that's why, my wife was next to me holding me and walking me to the car. So you see how a mind can take a very simple situation and it can magnify it. And one of the things that we always tell is that do not stay alone with your mind. Never, never, ever do that. Because being alone with the mind is the most dangerous thing that you can do. And so let's do one thing. Let's look at Srimad Bhagavatam. And let me bring up something here. And I'll read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, from the Veda base. This should be Canto 4. Canto 4. Okay, so I'll just give you a little bit of a background before I go and start reading it. That so this is the story of Sati, and she's the daughter of Daksha, right? Daksha Prajapati. So Prajapati is a very powerful person because apart from being a king and at that level, he also is capable of producing many different kinds of children. So Prajapati Daksha, although a devotee of the Lord, had got pride in him, right? And what is pride? Pride is also a result of the mind giving suggestions to you, right? I'm so great. So that came over him. So once Prajapati Daksh had organized a yajna and he had invited everybody. So as it happens that, when a person is very big and a big shot, he doesn't just show up like that, right? The guests will come. There'll be somebody to usher the guests into the arena. They will seat them, and the priest will come and all that. Somebody's going to give a lecture. That person will come. So all the guests will come. They'll sit, and then Daksha is going to make an appearance. So so in such a situation or a happenstance or such a condition, the Daksha was there. He was not there in the arena. All the other people had come, including Lord Shiva, and whose wife is Sati. Now, Sati is the daughter of Daksha, a very, very powerful king and rich as well. Kings are rich, right? But those days, the girls could choose their own husband. So Sati chose to marry Shiva. Now, we see that Shiva lives very frugally, right? What does he wear? No ornaments, no, fancy clothes and all that, right? And then who are his companions? The ghosts, the goblins, and, those kind of people. So superficially, you see Shiva as like that, right? But internally, we know that Shiva is so merciful that nobody likes to be with ghosts and goblins, but he is there for them, right? So he takes care of them. So, but superficially, it looks like that he doesn't have anything there. And so Daksha kind of didn't like the fact that his daughter wanted to marry and married that person who was not up to his mark or up to his expectations. So Shivji always is meditating on Lord Krishna. He's the best devotee of Lord Krishna, right? Nimnaganam yatha ganga, right? So Vaishnavanam, atha Shambhu. So among all the Vaishnavas, Shambhu or Shiva is the best. So he was sitting and he was in the sabha waiting. People were waiting for Daksha to arrive, and then he was meditating. Shiva was meditating. And Shiva is also the father-in-law of Daksha, so he's at a slightly higher position, being at a parent level. But Daksha was so puffed up. So when Daksha entered the arena, everybody stood up, and Shiva did not stand. So he did not like it. He said some words that he should not have spoken. They were disrespectful words. And so after that, there had been a little bit of a tension between the son-in-law and the father-in-law, and they were not visiting each other. And so, of course, Sati also could not go and visit her parents. So then, in this manner, the tension between father-in-law and son-in-law Daksha and the Lord Shiva continued for a considerably long period. When Brahma appointed Daksha the chief of all the Prajapatis, the progenitors of population, Daksha became very much puffed up. Daksha began a sacrifice named Vajpaya, and he became excessively confident of his support by Lord Brahma. He then performed another great sacrifice known as Brihaspati Sava. While the sacrifice was being performed, many Brahma Rishis, great sages, ancestral demigods, and other demigods, their wives, all very nicely decorated with ornaments, attended from different parts of the universe. The chaste lady Sati, the daughter of Daksha, heard the heavenly denizens flying in the sky conversing about the great sacrifice being performed by her father. When she saw that from all directions the beautiful wives of the heavenly denizens, their eyes very beautifully glittering, were near her residence and were going to the sacrifice dressed in fine clothing and ornamented with earrings and necklaces with lockets, she approached her husband, the master of the Bhutas, in great anxiety and spoke as follows. Sati said, "My dear Lord Shiva, your father-in-law is now executing great sacrifices, and all the demigods, having been invited by him, are going there. If you desire, we may also go. I think all my sisters must have gone to this great sacrificial ceremony with their husbands just to see their relatives. I also desire to decorate myself with the ornaments given to me by my father and go there with you to participate in that assembly. My sisters, my mother's sisters, and their husbands and other affectionate relatives must be assembled there. So if I go, I shall be able to see them, and I shall be able to see the flapping flags and the performance of the sacrifices by the great sages. For these reasons, my dear husband, I'm very anxious to go." This manifested cosmos is a wonderful creation of the interactions of the three material modes, or the external energy of the Supreme Lord. This truth is fully known to you. Yet I am but a poor woman, and as you know, I am not conversant with the truth. Therefore, I wish to see my birthplace once more. O never born, O blue-throated one, not only my relatives, but also other women, dressed in nice clothes and decorated with ornaments, are going there with their husbands and friends. Just see how their flocks of white airplanes have made the entire sky so beautiful. O best of the demigods, how can the body of a daughter remain undisturbed when she hears that some festive event is taking place in her father's house? Even though you may be considering that I have not been invited, there is no harm if one goes to the house of one's friend, husband, spiritual master, or father without invitation. O immortal Shiva, please be kind towards me and fulfill my desire. You have accepted me as half of your body. Therefore, please show kindness towards me and accept my request. The great sage Maitreya said, Lord Shiva, the deliverer of the hill Kailasha, having thus been addressed by his dear wife, replied smilingly, although at the same time he remembered the malicious, heart-piercing speeches delivered by Daksha before the guardians of the universal affair. So this he is referring and thinking about the old yagya where he had gone and Daksha had insulted him. The great Lord replied, my dear beautiful wife, you have said that one may go to a friend's house without being invited, and this is true, provided such a friend does not find fault with the guest because of bodily identification and thereby become angry towards him. Although the 6 qualities, education, austerity, wealth, beauty, youth, and heritage, are for the highly elevated, one who is proud of possessing them becomes blind, and thus he loses his good sense and cannot appreciate the glories of great personalities. One should not go to anyone's house, even on the consideration of his being a relative or a friend, when the man is disturbed in his mind and looks upon the guest with raised eyebrows and angry eyes. Lord Shiva continued, if one is hurt by the arrows of an enemy, one is not aggrieved as when cut by the unkind words of a relative, for such grief continues to rend one's heart day and night. My dear white-complexioned wife, it is clear that of the many daughters of Daksha, you are the pet. Yet you will not be honored at his house because of you being my wife. Rather, you'll be sorry that you connected with me. One who is conducted by false ego and thus always distressed, both mentally and sensually, cannot tolerate the opulence of self-realized persons. Being unable to rise to the standard of self-realization, he envies such persons as much as demons envy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My dear young wife, certainly friends and relatives offer mutual greetings by standing up, welcoming one another, and offering obeisances. For those who are elevated to the transcendental platform, being intelligent, offer such respect to the super soul who's sitting within the body, not to the person who identifies with the body. So he's commenting on Daksha was thinking, right? Why did Shiva not bow down to me? I'm always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vishnu in pure Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is always pure consciousness, in which Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Vasudeva, is revealed without any covering. Therefore, you should not see your father, although he is the giver of your body, because he and his followers are envious of me. Because of such envy, O most worshipful one, he has insulted me with cruel words, though I am innocent. If in spite of this instruction you decide to go, neglecting my words, the future will not be good for you. You are most respectable, and when you are insulted by a relative, this insult will immediately be equal to death. So I'm going to stop sharing over here and collect reflections on how do you see the workings of the mind in this narration.
Mind can really bewilder us, Mataji, that it forced...
Who got bewildered? Who got bewildered in this narration?
Sati.
Sati got bewildered, okay.
Yeah, because she was attracted by she gave more importance to the relations and wanted to go to meet her relatives. Though she understood what Lord Shiva, her husband, is saying, but still she wanted to go. And she went also. And it was very, she was disrespected there. And finally, she gave her life also. This was...
yeah. So I'm asking about the mind, right? So you told me one, that Sati's mind, right? Anybody else's mind is working in this narration? Who are the people in this narration?
It's just Sati and Shiva.
Shiva. So did Shiva's mind think of anything? Did his mind work?
Yes.
And what is his mind saying?
Because he did not get the respect from his father-in-law, and that is why he said, because you are my wife, that is why you will not be respected there. So it is better if you don't go there. And it is equal to death when you are not respected. If your friends or anybody calls you and you are not respected there, you don't, you feel neglected. So his mind was also working.
His mind is also working, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And then, of course, we have also talked about Daksha's mind is also working, right? So let's see now, and I won't go too much into the narration here, but a little bit on what happens next? So Shiva was silent after speaking to Sati, seeing her between decisions. Sati was very much anxious to see her relatives at her father's house, but at the same time, she was afraid of Lord Shiva's warning. Her mind unsettled, she moved in and out of the room as a swing moves this way and that. So, right, when she moves out of the room with Shiva, where Shiva is, what happens? She's in a room by herself. Sati felt very sorry at being forbidden to go see her relatives at her father's house, and due to affection, again, that's a mind thing, tears fell from her eyes. Shaking, this is what your mind can do to you, and very much afflicted, she looked at her uncommon husband, Lord Shiva, as if she was going to blast him with her vision. Thereafter, Sati left her husband, Lord Shiva, who had given her half his body due to affection. Breathing very heavily because of anger and bereavement, she went to the house of her father. This less intelligent act was due to her being a weak woman. Right? So you can see how the mind is acting on us. Right? So in this particular verse and in the previous verses of this chapter, where we are talking about Ashtanga Yoga, and we are talking about how you will connect with the Supreme ultimately, right? And we were talking about a ladder, right? And about the ladder, and what was the thing about the ladder? The person either climbs the ladder, right? And one who has climbed the ladder, what was the word that we were using?
Yogaruda.
Yogaruda, correct. And then what is the other one?
Yogarukshu.
Rogarukshu, right? Rogarukshu is one who's heading towards but not yet connected. So here we are talking about a stage, right? We are talking about a stage that a yogi has reached. And he's telling you that you can be in two stages, right? You can be in the lower stage where your mind is your enemy, and you can be in a higher stage. So for a yoga ruda, what is the relationship between a yoga ruda and his mind? What's the relationship between a yoga ruda and his mind?
Yogaruda would have controlled his mind because he would have done pranayama. So
Relationship. I'm just asking, what is the relationship? Okay, let's go back and look. I think you all know the answer.
Yeah, he controls it. He has a lot more calmness and control over his own mind, and so can see more clearly of what's going on.
Right. So here, what in this verse that I'm sharing here with you, I think, am I sharing? Yeah, I'm sharing here with you, right? So what is he saying here in the translation? Do you find a relationship between Yoga Ruda and his mind? The translation?
To deliver yourself with the help of the mind.
No, what's the relationship between a mind of a Yoga Ruda? What's the relationship between a Yoga Ruda and his mind? He's a friend. There you go. Exactly, right? And one who is a Yoga Rukshu?
Enemy.
Enemy, right? So this is something very important to keep in mind. That when we are in the beginning, we are listening to the dictates of the mind. Kamadhinam katina katita palita durnideshas. Durnidesh. Nirdesh means injunction. Durnidesh means bad and difficult, right? So the mind and the indriyas combined will give you all kinds of wrong instructions. How long? How much? 24/7. Right? So that's what it happens when your mind is your enemy. And the problem here is that this is a very different kind of an enemy. It's a very different kind of an enemy because this enemy is inside you. Okay? When two countries are fighting, there'll be people who will be there at the border, right? If the other person comes, they will shoo them back. But what to do about people who are just inside your country and going against the country? So it's a very difficult situation. Right? Mind is like that. Always your enemy, always with you, and always talking to you, never keeping quiet. Always suggesting, right? So what you have to do, is whenever a thought comes to our mind, we have to make sure that it is in alignment with Guru and Sadhu and Shastra. Right? And that is why we say consult. Consult some, have a mentor who's going to guide you, answer your questions, because Guru might not be available all the time to answer your questions. Sadhu, and also the Shastra. The Shastra should also say that thing, right? So in a Yoga Rudha stage, the mind becomes our friend. Right? Now, but that's a journey. That's a journey that we have to take. And last time you were not there, some of you were not there, but last time we had talked about what does mantra mean. Mantra, man and tra. Man means mind in Sanskrit and tra means deliver. So mantra is something that delivers the mind. And since mind controls everything, right? We hear about the hierarchy in the previous chapter. Lowest is the dull matter. Above the dull matter are the senses. Above the senses is the mind. Above the mind is the intelligence. Above the intelligence is the soul. And above the soul is the super soul. So we know that there is a hierarchy there, right? So the mind will continue to control us. It will constantly give us suggestions. It will give us directions. Now it is for us to be smart and see what exactly is the mind telling me and how much am I supposed to listen to the mind. And the first thing that we said was mind magnifies the problems. Can you chant 16 rounds? Immediately the mind will start telling you how difficult it is to chant 16 rounds. I want to enroll in Bhakti Shastri? No, I can never do it. It'll come up with all kinds of possibilities as to why you should not do that, and especially devotional service. Okay? So we have to look at the mind as something away from us, and in most of the cases as our enemy. And to know whether what the mind is suggesting is right or wrong, we have to understand that that through the Shastras, through the Guru, and through the Shastra. Right? And the second thing, the M for magnifies. Then the next one is I. I is what imagines pleasure.
Pleasure and desires.
So mind imagines that things have pleasure. So things by themselves do not have pleasure, right? For example, kukar beta, karela, right? So karela, some adults like it, some adults don't like it, right? And kids usually will throw up if you give them karela. But the thing is just the same. The karela is still the same, whether a kid is eating, whether an adult is eating, adult 1, adult 2, it's just the same thing. Why does it become good and bad? Because it is our mind. Right? You might like something very, very nice. You might enjoy, and you might think that the pleasure is coming from this item. Right? For example, ice cream. Most of the people in this world like ice cream. There are a few who don't. There's ice cream. So, we said, okay, fine. I like ice cream. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to have my lunch. And after that, I'm going to sit in front of the television and I'm going to enjoy the ice cream. Okay. And as we are sitting there planning to eat the ice cream, we take it out of the refrigerator, we sit there, and guess what? Some bad news comes. Just as soon as you put the food in your ice cream in your mouth, you hear something, right? Now the ice cream doesn't taste good at all. So what happened? It gave you pleasure yesterday. How come it doesn't give you pleasure today? Because that pleasure is something that we have imagined. Imagine that it belongs there. It doesn't belong there. It belongs in your head, in your mind. That's why they say it's there, right? So depending on the consciousness of the mind, different people will like different things. For example, some people will say, oh, onions are frying. Oh, what a lovely smell. Fried onions, heavenly, right? And if a Vaishnava goes there, they'll be like, ooh, I can't tolerate it. When we go to Jagannath Puri, we used to stay in Gajapati Hotel. And so they had a restaurant in Puri. And they would cook in the evening and they use onions. And we would be having our classes out in the lawn area there. and the smell would come to us. And then Guru Maharaj would immediately say, go get some incense sticks and burn the incense sticks over here. So we would go like 25, 30 incense sticks burning over there to suppress the smell of onions. And the people who come to the restaurants, if you try to give them pure Vaishnava food, they won't like it. It's like, where's the onion? No onion? How can you have this without onion? Like that. So onion by itself, is it good or is it bad? It's something which is there inside of our mind. So the mind imagines pleasure. So M and I. Then N. N is that mind neglects opportunities. How do you think mind neglects opportunities?
It
How
thinks
will
of
the
what
mind
are the reasons that I can avoid, that it will keep thinking like, if I do this, what will happen? If I do that, my hand will pain, some risk kind of thing it would.
Right. For
Story.
example, somebody comes and says, okay, start reading the Bhagavad-gita. You'll be like, oh, you can't read it. I mean, how can you read it? You have the exam coming up, right? And of course, if there's a party before the exam, we do go and attend that. Right? But when it comes to devotional service, we will not do it. Or when we get up in the morning, we have to go to exercise because we have eaten too much and we want to shed weight. The mind will say, okay, come on, sleep a little bit more. You work really so hard. So that opportunities which are there, whether they are spiritual opportunities or whether they are material opportunities, the mind will tell you not to do that. Right? So, so it will neglect opportunities. So what are the three that mind does? Magnifies problems, imagines
pleasure and neglects
opportunities, and denies the
reality.
Right? Denies the reality. So how does the mind deny the reality? How do
Everybody
we
tells, no,
reality?
Krishna, nobody is controlling me. I am doing everything.
Okay, so that's one way of looking at it. Ahankara vimūಢātmā kartāham iti manyate. That I think that I am the doer. But the reality is that no, rantarurādi māyaya. I am actually just a yantra and Krishna is actually riding and driving my car. Okay, so we are neglecting that reality or denying that reality which is there, right? Also, when somebody gives us feedback, right?
We don't like it if it's not to our...
If it's like, okay.
If it's not flattering.
When somebody gives you negative feedback, right?
Yeah.
About us or about our child, any extensions of the body. What are we denying? We deny the reality. And it's like a teacher comes and says that, well, your child is very naughty and, you like, oh, come on, kids need a time, place to, express, if he's a small child, what is there, We will come up with excuses and deny the fact that I have a problem in my hands, right? Like that. So this is what the mind does. And it will keep on giving you ideas upon ideas upon ideas. And we have said that, okay, a person who has controlled his mind is a yoga ruda, is at an advanced stage. But then how do we go towards that advanced stage? The best thing that you can do, right, to control your mind. So it will be slowly, steps and stages in which this activity will be performed. And let's look at some situations here. So I'm going to start sharing my screen with you again as soon as I can find my Zoom. So return to the meeting, share my screen here, and I'm going to share this guy now. Okay, can you see a PowerPoint slide deck here?
Yeah.
Okay, so before even that, I'm just going to copy this into another slide. Okay, duplicate. Here we go. We'll delete that. I'm going to insert 2 circles here. Okay. So shapes, I get a circle. This is one circle. And then this is another circle. Okay. So if we were to look at these 2 things here, right? Mind is going to give you all kinds of ideas. 24/7, the mind gives us ideas. Okay. Now, The ideas could be good ideas, ideas that you really need, right? So here, what you need. Some ideas will be good for you, right? And then there'll be ideas that the mind that are not good for you. Can you give me an example of an idea that will not be good for you? That the mind can give you?
Sleep more.
Yes, good. Right? Doctor has told you not to have sugar, and you're saying, okay, let me just have one more, right? So blue is what is good and what is not good for you, right? You should try to focus over here, right? Then it doesn't stop over there. There could be a lot of things that can be good for me. So if I'm focusing on here, I'm trying to stay away from this one, right? So I'd focus on whatever is good for me. But then when it comes to come to me here, what is good for me? What the mind is asking me to do over here, right? It could be many things, right? And I'm just going to draw a diagram over here. So on this side, I'm going to put importance of our thoughts, okay? On this side. And then on the other side over here, I'm going to put the urgency. Okay, so on this graph, the importance increases from the left to the right, and the urgency also increases from the bottom to the top. Okay, so now if I'm over here in this area, okay, if I'm in this area, the thought that are coming to my mind are of high importance, and they are also of high urgency. Okay, so I'm going to say high importance and high urgency, okay, over here. Now, if you were to look in this particular quadrant, the one below it, are these things high urgency, high importance? Is the importance high in this area? Remember, importance increases from the left and goes to the right.
Importance is less and urgency is more.
Importance increases from the left and goes to the right. So here in this side, importance is high.
Oh, high. Okay.
Right?
Mm.
Okay, so I'm just going to draw that so that you can visualize. And this side, it is low. Okay, like that it goes. And urgency, this one is high urgency, up high in the sky.
Oh,
and then
okay.
down
Then
below
that
is low.
is low. Okay, so
Okay.
high importance and low urgency.
Right, right. So in this side, it's of high importance and low urgency.
Urgency.
Low
Yeah.
urgency. Okay. Now, if you look on this side, what does it show? On this side.
Low importance.
Importance is also low, right?
Yeah.
Then urgency
Is low.
is also low, right? In this area. Now, if you go into this area, what happens?
Low importance and high urgency.
Right? So we have to be cognizant of the fact that, you know, the mind is going to send things to us, ideas towards us. And while you're sitting down and doing your japa, the mind is going to tell you, you have to do this now. You have to do this now. It's very urgent. Right? So the urgency is high. So you are somewhere over here, right? But then you have to see, is it really important for me to do it now? Like that, right? So similarly, in this side, it is high importance, but low urgency, right? It's high, the urgency is not there, so you can do it later on, right? Low importance, low urgency, just put them at the lowest level of your focus, right? Like that. So consciously, you know, start looking at the mind. Just don't be overtaken by the mind. If you're overtaken by the mind, then mind is your enemy. If you control the mind is going to be your best friend. And all the time, all the places, since mind needs an engagement, right? So like I was giving you the example of an enemy, right? If two countries are fighting and soldiers from one country are coming, I just have to push them out and go, let them go, right? And that's fine, I'm done, as long as I push them away. But the mind is inside me. I cannot take the mind and throw it out of the body. It is with me all the time. It will remain with me all the time. Even when I die, it'll go with the soul, right? Till I find liberation and leave this material body and the material mind forever. That is going back to Golok Vrindavan. So what I have to do with this mind, which is here in my body, is I cannot just shut the mind and say, okay, I'm thrown, I know I've locked you, and then I've thrown the key away. No, you have to engage the mind in doing something, right? And what we recommend that we engage the mind are what the yoga rudas do in the subsequent stages, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. So they're saying you engage your mind in Krishna. If you do not engage your mind in Krishna consciousness, if you do not engage your mind in things which are not Maya or not material, definitely it'll get engaged, because last week we talked about that Krishna Suryasam Maya hai andhakar, jahan Krishna taha nahi Mayera adhikar, right? So wherever there's Krishna, then Maya cannot live. But if the Krishna goes away, Maya will come in. Maya is going to capture you completely, right? And you'll see that in so many prayers, in so many places. And there's a very nice prayer that I just wanted to bring up, and we could all go through that prayer together. Let me find out first where it is. Okay. All right, I found it. And here we go. I'm going to start sharing with you again. So it's the song Bhajahure Mana Srinana Nandana, right? So Bhajahure Mana Srinandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare Dulabha Manava Janama Satsange Tarohe Bhava Sindhure Sita Ata Pata Sita Ata Pa Bata Barishana Edina Jamini Jagire Bifale Se Vinu Kripana Durjana Chapala Sukhala Bhala Gire Idhana Jaubana Putra Parijana Ithe Kiyache Parati Tire Kamala Jala Dala Kamala Dala Jala Jivana Tala Mala Bajahu Haripada Nitire Shravana Kirtana Smarana Vandana Pada Sevana Dasyare Pujana Sakhi Jana Atmani Vedana Govinda Dasa Bhila Sare. What is the prayer here? It says, O mind, just worship the lotus feet of son of Nanda, which makes one fearless. Having obtained this rare human birth, cross over this ocean of worldly existence through the association of saintly persons. Both in the day and at night, I remain sleepless, suffering the pains of heat and cold, the wind and the rain. For a fraction of flickering happiness, I have uselessly served wicked and miserly men. What assurance of real happiness is there in all of one's wealth, youthfulness, sons and family members? This life is tottering like a drop of water on a lotus petal. Therefore, you should always serve and worship the divine feet of Lord Hari. It is a desire and great longing of Govinda Das to engage himself in the 9 processes of bhakti, namely hearing the glories of Lord Hari and chanting those glories, constantly remembering him and offering prayers to him, serving the Lord's lotus feet, serving the Supreme Lord as a servant, worshipping him with flowers and incense, and so forth, and serving him as a friend, and completely offering the Lord one's very self. Hearts, what do you say?
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the context of today's lecture, so nicely summarized our existence in this world of Maya. And it is an awakening for all of us, right? That's why they say Krishna Dev Bhavantam Mande. So you go and you worship the Lord, right? You engaged in devotional service. What's the definition? What's the description of devotional definition of devotional service? Anyabhajita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhakti uttama. So it says anukulyena krishnanu. You have to do things which are favorable to Krishna. Anya abhilashita shunyam. You should not have any other desire. No material desires. No desire for my son, my family, my name, my fame, nothing. Anya abhilashita shunyam. Jnana karmadi navritam. Also, don't run after jnana. Don't run after the fact that I need to memorize so many slokas. I need to understand. I need to read this book and that book. I purchase every book and keep it right at my home. No, just do pure bhakti. And once you do pure bhakti, Vasudeve Bhagavati, Bhakti Yoga Prayojita, Janyate Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayate Sukam. So when you do devotional service to Krishna, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter. When you do devotional service to the Lord, then Janyate Ashu, Ashu means very quickly, Janyate Ashu Vairagyam. Very quickly, this detachment from the material things will happen. And as long as we have attachment to the material world, that is where Maya will take control of us. So all these thoughts, we have to use the replacement methodology. So all these thoughts which are there in our mind, which are full of material things, right? All the thoughts are full of material. It's like a pot of ink which is full of, say, like an ink pot which is full of blue ink. And you want to replace all that blue ink with white color ink. So how will you do that? You will start pouring lots and lots and lots of white color ink into the pot so that all the blue will overflow and will come out, right? That's the only way to take control of that, of the mind. And as Arjuna has also said that, chanchalam hi mana Krishna, pramati balvardhanam, tasyaham nigraham manne vayur eva sadushkram. So he says that to take control of the mind is as difficult as taking control of the air. For example, it's very, very difficult to control the air, right? For example, I've got a cup right over here. And if somebody says they remove the air from this, how do I remove the air from the cup? I cannot put my hand on the cup and then remove the air and throw it out. I cannot do that, right? The only way that you can do that is to fill the cup with water. Then the air will go out. Similarly, how do I get rid of my material desires? You have to use the substitution principle. You have to put good thoughts in it. And how will good thoughts come? By being in the association of a devotee. So by constantly observing our mind, engaging in devotional service to the Lord is how you will become yoga rudha. You will climb the ladder of yoga. Arur means to climb something, right? So then you will climb. So what do you think are some of the qualities of a person who's a yoga rudha? Means like he's high in the ladder of devotional service to the Lord. And this is written very nicely, it's explained very nicely in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela. So I'm going to bring that up here. Again, sharing the screen. CC Madhya, chapter number 23, verses 18 and 19. Shantir avyartha kalatvam virakter manashunyata ashabandha samutkantha namagane sadaruchihi asaktistada gunakhyane pritistat vasati sale ityado no bhavasyur jata bhavanu kure jane. So what does it mean? Very, very nice description here of a devotee advanced in devotional service, a rural youth. When the seed of ecstatic emotion for Krishna fructifies, the following 9 symptoms manifest in one's behavior: forgiveness, concern that time should not be wasted, detachment, absence of false prestige, hope, eagerness, a taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord, attachment to the descriptions of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, and affection for those places where the Lord resides, that is a temple or a holy place like Vrindavan. These are called anubhav, subordinate signs of ecstatic emotion. They are visible in a person in whose heart the seed of love of God has begun to fructify. Right? That's why elsewhere in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila chapter 19, it says, Brahmane, Brahmande, Brahmande Brahmite Kaun Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. So for the bhakti, for the lata of devotional service to fructify and to grow, first somebody has to plant the seed, right? Plants don't grow by themselves. Somebody has to put the seed. And that seed can come from Krishna or can come from Guru Maharaj. From Krishna from within you and from Guru from outside, from without. So with the two of them, you know, when the bhakti lata, when the seed is there, then you have to water the seed. So how do you water the seed? Through prayers, through hymns, through seva, through association of devotees, going to the dham, right? Performing devotional service. All these things are things that are watering the bhakti lata, right? So that it grows all the way and, you know, bursts through this universe which has got a material covering, bursts through all of that and goes all the way to Vrindavan and then rests on the lotus feet of the Lord. That's how this bhakti lata is going to go, right? And then as you are progressing in devotional service, your mind is going to become your friend, right? So how does the mind become the enemy? You remember I gave you the example of a person whose friends sort of neglected him and this man got very angry, right? So that's a classic reaction of a person whose consciousness is low, right? But the consciousness of a highly elevated person will not come to conclusions like, oh, he's not looking at me, he must be ignoring me. Not like that. When your consciousness is pure, then you will start to look at the situation from various angles, right? And then you will say, okay, you know, maybe this, maybe that. Maybe he didn't see me. Maybe there's something wrong. Maybe he's preoccupied. Maybe he's unhappy. And then maybe he's right. Maybe he's ignoring me. And that's when your compassion will flow towards him, because then you will say, oh, he's ignoring me. This means what a sorry state a person would be. What a sorry state of the soul, that the soul wants to ignore somebody else, right? The soul is not seeing the equality of all the souls inside. Like it's not at that level where you can say, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Kavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Chapakita Pandita Samadarshina. They see everything the same, those who are at a higher consciousness level. Right? That person is not seeing things at a higher consciousness. I feel sorry for that person. So instead of getting angry that that person ignored me or insulted me, I start feeling sorry. This is a symptom. Very, very advanced people will go and do that, right? Then concerned that time should not be wasted. Kamala Jaladala, Jivana Talamala. That's a song that we saw, right? So just like, you know, on a lotus leaf, sometimes drops of water are there, right? And as the leaf will move with the movement of the wind, this little drop of water can fall into the lake and be extinguished, right? Similarly, we are also like that. Our life is also just like that. Anytime we can just drop dead, right? So you have to be careful that I do not want to waste my time at all, right? Then detachment. Janyate ashu vairagyam. Because the more attached that you are with the material things, then the more your mind will go towards that. More you'll get entangled. More and more and more and more and more you'll get entangled. Like that, right? And the classic story of entanglement is that there was a king and his son. Both were young. And so they went for hunting. And while they were hunting, they got removed from the rest of the people who were there, the entourage. So both of them were just alone walking, were trying to look for a place of shelter, somewhere where they could get some food, etc. And then they see footprints in the sand, on the dust. And so they look at footprints, and they look very beautiful footprints. One footprint is bigger in size than the smaller footprints. And from the shape of the footprints, it's a woman's body, right? Man's foot and woman's foot is different. So they admire the footprints so much. See how the mind can act. They admire the footprints so much that they are talking to each other and saying, such beautiful footprints. You can't even imagine how beautiful the woman will be who has these feet like this, right? And so they say, okay, the big footprints are of the mother and the smaller footprint are of the daughter. So they decide, let's follow and we'll reach them and king is going to marry the mother, and the son is going to marry the daughter. So they reach that, they have made up their mind, and they reach there, and there they realize that the daughter had big feet and the mother had small feet. But since they had already decided, and prana jaye, vachan na jaye, they've already decided that, right? So they will not go back from that. So they get married. And then soon enough, they have children. And now the entanglement comes, right? Now you go figure out what is the relationship of the children to each other. I'm not going to spend time over. I'm not going to spend time over here. But I'm just saying that, these things get very, very complicated, right? So a person, a yoga ruda stage will not be there. Absence of false prestige was another one, right? Absence, right? It says, amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. So this is one of the important things. And that is that if you want to do proper kirtan of the Lord, then you have to give up that sense of prestige, right? And then he has got hope. He's not despair. He's not despaired in this life. No matter what happens, he's not despaired. He just says, Tattenu kampam susamikchamano. Whatever is happening to me is, your mercy only. And there's hope that Krishna will come and save me. There's hope. Look at the Brijvasis. Look at the young Gwalas. They always had hope, right? There was Aghasura with such a big mouth, right? Lying on the road. And they are thinking like, is it a serpent or is it not a serpent? Maybe it's a serpent. And they kind of knew that it was a serpent, but still they went inside the serpent's body. Like, Krishna is going to save us. So they have hope. A person has got hope, right? And then we have eagerness. Eagerness to do things for Krishna, right? So people come to the temple, they're so eager, they're so happy. Eagerness to go to the dham, eagerness to do the deity worship, eagerness to do extra austerities in the month of Kartik, right? Eagerness to light the diya in the month of Kartik, like that, right? And Nam Gane Ruchi. Nam Gane Ruchi means a taste for chanting the holy names of the Lord, and not like, oh, when will the 16 rounds be over? Oh, why did I promise this? Did I really have to be initiated? I was doing pretty good without it. And then why? Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur reduced from 64 to 16, gave 60, not Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur asked Srila Prabhupada and his disciples to chant 64. Srila Prabhupada reduced it to 16. Why is my Guru Maharaj not reducing it to 6? The Kali Yuga has advanced so much. There is so much of disturbance. I have to work so hard. I have to do this, to do that. No, Naam Gane Ruchi hai hi nahi. The taste to chant the holy names of the Lord is just not there, right? So an advanced stage, the taste for chanting the holy name is so much that the moment they find any time, which they never want to waste, they will immediately start chanting Ripur, right? And then they also have attachment to the description. They want to hear Krishna Katha all the time. That's all they want to hear. Krishna Katha, Krishna Katha, Krishna Katha. They big attachments. Such and such a person has come. He's giving a lecture in that home. They will rush to that home, adjust everything, right? They will have affection for places where Krishna lives. I want to go to Vrindavan. I want to go to Mayapur. I want to go to the Dham. I want to go to the temple, right? So these are the symptoms of a yoga ruda, a person who is in the higher stage. And how will you go there? Through systematic control of the mind, right? And number one, the substitution, remove and bring in better things. Krishna Katha, Krishna chanting the holy names of the Lord, association of the devotees, austerities. These are some of the things that will help us, so that the same mind, which is our enemy, the same mind will become your friend. And it will be your mind that will suggest, hey, get up in the morning and let's jump out of the bed because we want to do Mangalarti. That's a mind that is a friend, right? So let's hope and pray in this month of Kartik that we have our mind constantly engaged in the lotus feet of the Lord. As Vitasur said, Manas Maretashu Pater Gunamste. They said, like, let my mind always think of the good qualities that you have, O Lord, the protector of everybody. Like that. So on that note, I will stop the lecture here today. Any reflections, anything, we can take it for a couple of minutes.
Hare Krishna Matadev. This shloka from Chaitanya Charitamrita, one which you shared, can you kindly share it in the group? Because the translation is very nice, and the that poem, that bhajan also.
Okay.
That song. Yeah.
Okay. Bhajahure
Right.
Shri Nandana.
Is that Narashatam Thakur one?
Yes, yes. I'm going to give both of them. Yeah. Both of them to you. Bhakti Vriksh. Okay, so I gave you the shloka. Bhajahure Mana Shri Nandanandana. And the author is Govind Das Kaviraj, because in the end he uses his name, right? Govinda Das Abhilashare. So it's the Abhilasha of Govinda Das Kaviraj. Okay.
So I have a question, Shraddha
Go ahead.
Mataji.
Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
don't know. If it's not a good, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
If it's I don't know if the question is going to be clear though, but see, we're in the Dhyana Yoga chapter, and that usually is the Jnana Yoga, like, you know, kind of in that sort of sphere before Bhakti. So when we talk about the friend to the mind, are they really sort of like, because they're not always reliant on Bhakti gurus, right? So they're getting information, perhaps jnana information from different jnanis of sorts. So, and I always feel like, so they have clarity and all that, and they can see, but are they really sort of clear on the real absolute truth? Do they understand Krishna, or are they still sort of maybe going towards the Brahma Jyoti, you know? And would that still make their mind a friend if they're going towards Brahma Jyoti? Does that still be the friend? The mind is still a friend, or is it really not? I don't know if that made sense. If it doesn't, don't worry.
It does, yeah, it does, yeah. So in the previous verses, in the previous classes, we had talked about that when you are a yoga ruda, you have climbed the ladder, but you could be at standing at different rungs of the ladder. So when you're not on the ladder, then we are doing activities, but our activities are purely for ourselves. So that is sakarma karma. So I can have rituals, I can have yagyas, I can make donations, do all kinds of good things. But those are all, I can even worship Vishnu, right? But I'm doing that for my own purpose, because somebody told me that if you worship Vishnu, you will get some sukriti. So after you die, then you'll go to a better planet. That's my aim. That's at the lowest level, right? Some people will take to, dhyana yoga, which is basically meditation. And the reason for them trying to get a meditation, for them doing meditation, is they want to get mystic powers. And that's it. Once they get the mystic powers, they're going to stop, right? But this process of Dhyana Yoga, and towards the end of this chapter, Krishna will say, Yoginam api sharmesam matkatenanta ātmanā shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamomata. So he says that among all he will describe all the yogis there. I mean, the yogic processes, steps, etc. You go to a place which is neither too high nor too low. You get a kusha grass, you sit on it, keep your eyes half open, half closed. You look at the tip of your nose, and then you do all that, right?
Yeah.
He's telling all that process, but then he's also saying, so again, looking at the Ashtanga yoga system that we are talking about. So there is dharana. The dharana is that you're just getting the focus of the mind, right? And dharana could be, you could focus on anything. Like I can meditate on a problem at work.
Yeah.
I'm trying to bring a new product. I can meditate on that. Complete focus, right? So meditation means focus. I can focus on that. I can go to dharana stage like that, right? And in order to do that, I can do yoga, I can do pranayama. All of them are going to help me achieve focus of mind. But what is the goal, right? The goal is not the right goal.
Right.
So trying to get things for yourself, solve material problems, or get mystic powers, they are all dhyana. You're doing it yoga, but you are yoga. You're doing yoga. Yoga means to connect, but you're connecting with Maya still. Because all that you want to do is, I want to have mystic powers so that I can go and touch the moon from here. I can go and control other people's mind. I can become smaller than the smallest. I can become bigger than the biggest, right? But I'm doing it just so that I will now go to the in front of the public, and I will get adoration from the public, maybe money also, by demonstrating these properties. But the same yogic Ashtanga yoga mystic qualities were also there in Hanuman. And Hanuman used those mystic qualities in the service of the Lord. Right? He became smaller than the smallest to enter Ashokavan. And then he became bigger than the biggest to burn entire Lanka. So you see, then he also used Jaladi Ulagage, right? He jumped over the ocean. by making himself big, right? He flew and bought Sanjeevani booty. See, he's got all these mystic powers, but he's using all of them in the service of the Lord. In the beginning of his life, he was not doing it. He ran to the sun and he wanted to eat it, right? So you can see the same powers can be used in this way. It can be also used in that way. Right? Now, when a person is meditating so there are various ways. When we are talking about Dhyan Yoga, particularly what Krishna is trying to emphasize here is that when you're doing the Dhyan Yoga, right? So after dharana, we have learned how to focus your mind. Then you do Dhyan. Dhyan is when you start looking at the various features of the Lord. Now comes the question that what feature of the Lord will I focus on? I can focus on the feature of the Lord, which is Brahma Jyoti, right? And then, so you will reach Brahma Jyoti. You know, you have advanced a little bit on the yoga, but what you have done is, if I had to go from New Delhi to Bombay, I have chosen a road where there is a roadblock. So I'll stay there, then I'll have to backtrack and then take a diversion and then go and reach my destination. That's what happens to those who focus on the Brahma Jyoti, because they'll go to the Brahma Jyoti and then they will fall down again. And they have to then, you know, try another route to go there. So that's when the focus is Brahma Jyoti. The second is Paramatma. Paramatma for Vishnu-handed form, right? As he says, Kavi Puranam Manushachitaram Aron Ariyan Samanusmaritya Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastat. This is one way that you can focus with the Lord in the heart is as the Lord, as you see in the Signs of Self-Realization book. Right? There's a picture of Vishnu, the four-handed form. So people will focus on the four-handed form of the Vishnu and they are thinking, you know, like Anushachitaram, you are the one who's the controller. Aditya Varnam, you're colored like gold, like that, you know, golden color. So do you focus on Vishnu? So yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajyatyante kalevaram tam tam evati konteya sada tad bhava bhavita. So depending on what you are focusing on at a particular time, which is the time of death, you will go to that place, right? So if you're thinking about Vishnu, because that's what we have been meditating in our heart, then after our death, we will go to the Vaikuntha planets. And we will get a form like Vishnu. So anybody who goes to Vaikuntha looks like Vishnu. So we go there, right? So that's majorly Dhyana Yoga is associated with Paramatma Yoga, that you think about God. But when a person is a pure bhakta of the Lord, then also the person can concentrate. Then also the person can do Dhyana Yoga. The person can also do Samadhi. He can do all that, right? But this time, his goal is Krishna. So when he's thinking about Krishna, he's thinking about Krishna, the two-handed form of Krishna with the flute in his hand. He will think of that. He can meditate on that, right? So then comes the question that if I can achieve Krishna by just doing meditation and I'll meditate on Krishna in my heart, why am I supposed to do bhakti? I can sit in one corner, I can just meditate, right? Yes, you can do that. And Dhruv Maharaj sort of did that, right? Through Ashtanga Yoga, Dhruv Maharaj saw God. But Dhruv Maharaj was in Kali Yoga. And we are in, Dhruv Maharaj was in Sat Yoga. And we are in Kali Yoga, right? Where mind is always disturbed. So trying to do meditation is very difficult. Trying to do even deity worship is so difficult. You don't have the time. And that's why they say, Nasti eva, nasti eva, nasti eva, gataranatha. There is no other way, no other way, no other way than what? Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nameva Kevalam. Right? Just chant the holy names of the Lord, holy names of the Lord, holy names of the Lord. And as you continue to do this, chanting the holy names of the Lord, you will get Nam Gane Ruchi. It will develop, the taste will develop. You look back at yourself 10 years ago, you're chanting 10 years ago, and you're chanting now. There is a change. It's imperceptible change, but it is there. We won't say it from day to day. I won't be able to say if my chanting today is better than yesterday. But if you look at it over a period of time, there is definitely improvement. If not anything, we stop mispronouncing the mantra just by sheer practice of doing it slowly in the beginning, like that. Does that help, Shraddha-devi?
Yeah, so my question really was, when you're in the stages of the people or in those categories who are going towards the Brahma Jyoti or the Paramatma before Bhakti, is the mind still their friend or is it not their friend yet? Because
yes, the mind, well, the mind is friend.
It is because,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, the mind is friend, but not a very good friend. So we have different categories.
Yeah, okay, so that's what I was kind of getting at, because they're still aiming for the different place. So their clarity will be less you know, as
correct.
not, it won't be absolute, as the
Correct,
word
correct.
absolute comes in right there.
Exactly. And the same
Yeah.
happens in our life also. Like, we can go to two different friends and ask for career guidance, right? And you can
Yeah.
get two very different guidances from them. Both are your friends.
Definitely.
Both
Yeah.
are your friends. Yeah. But the end result is different. Yeah.
In the verse, it's not clear though, right? Because we're in the middle of the Jnana Yoga sort of section. Like we like to refer to in our world, we always say, oh, that's Jnana Yoga. And so that's why I was asking, because that
Yeah, and
verse in that section is kind of like, should it really be when we talk about Bhakti Yoga, the friend becomes a real friend, you know? So,
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And then, and that mind will tell you, like, let's go to Vrindavan. Let's not go to Las Vegas. The mind is telling you.
Yeah, definitely.
The same
Yeah.
mind tells you this versus that, and exact opposite the mind is going to tell you.
Yeah.
Tell you.
So in that way, it is a friend, because all three would not go to Las Vegas.
Correct.
Unless you were going to the ISKCON temple to do Harinam, right? So
Yeah.
okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Shraddha Mataji,
Hare Krishna,
there was
yeah, tell
some
me.
Satyavati Mataji, Her Grace Satyavati Mataji, she left her body on 1st of November. She had cancer. She came to America to meet her son, and that time this was detected in Chicago. She went to India after 24 chemotherapies also. They couldn't stop the cancer to spread. So finally, she left her body on 1st of November. I had gone to meet her, but before coming also, I wanted to meet her, but Prabhuji said that no, doctors are not permitting to meet her. So he himself had come to my place to meet me, but I couldn't meet Mataji. But Guru Maharaj Ji, His Holiness Radhanath Swamiji Maharaj, had gone to her house, met her, gave her Narsimha Kavacham, and the garland and many more things he gave to her. And some kirtan was also done in the house. Guru Maharaj Ji did it. So twice he went and met her, and finally she left her body.
In the glorious and auspicious month of Kartik.
Kartik. And Mataji, my first lesson of Bhagavad-gita was given by her.
Awesome. Wow.
I was missing her. I have one letter of hers which she gave me because she used to teach in Hindi Bhagavad-gita. So in the Hindi Bhagavad-gita, she had written down a letter kind of a thing to inspire me. That letter is with me. Fortunately, I have something of hers in the written form. Very nice, Mother.
Well, you have her teachings with you.
Yes, Mother.
You have her teachings with you, you have her memory, and you have her blessings. And it's just a matter of time. We'll all meet sometime in Golok Vrindavan. So we'll get to meet her again. Till we meet again. Yeah. So we mourn their going away. Not for them that, oh, bichare mar gaye like that, but it's more for us that we lost our association. It's more for us,
We lost her association. Everybody is missing her association. That is the main.
Yeah, but Krishna wanted her back.
Yeah.
So let's chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra 11 times.
Yes, Mataji, that is what I wanted.
Okay, so why don't you lead and we'll follow. 11 times, okay? 1, 2.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Satyavati Mataji ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you so much, Vaishana Mataji, for this Kirtan. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for joining us here today. And we will meet again on Sunday morning. As usual, we do the Sanskrit class at 6:30 a.m. I might give a lecture at one of my friends' place. I don't know yet the time. It could be 11 a.m. in the morning, or it could be 11:30, very likely. But I might broadcast it on Zoom. I don't know anything actually at this time. But if anything like that happens, I will post it on our WhatsApp group for San Mateo Bhakti Vix. But till then, thank you so much for joining. And Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada, Vanchakalpatrubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyeva, Patitanam Pavnebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hari
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hari.
It was fun.
Thank you. Thank you, Sadhana Mataji.
Thank you, Varsha Mataji.
She's Surabhi Govinda now.
Oh,
Her name is
yeah.
Surabhi Govinda. Varshana Mataji. Her name
Yes,
is
Mataji.
Sadhana is Surabhi Govinda. There's no Sadhana.
Yes, Surabhi Govinda. Actually,
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I'll connect with you. We can have a long chat and catch up because I'm not coming to India
yes,
this year.
sure.
I'll call you. Yeah.
And Varshana is actually in USA, Surabhi Mataji.
Are you? Oh,
Yes, Mataji.
Oh, okay. I'll WhatsApp you. We'll find a time. We can just talk and catch up.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm in
Alright.
Atlanta, Madhuri.
Atlanta, okay.
Yeah, it's
Alright,
11
thank you so
o'clock.
much.
11:30.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
More than that.
10:30.
Yeah, almost 11:30, 10:30. Yeah.
10:30. Yeah.
All right.
All right, go Premanande.
Okay.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
Jai
Namaskar.